Hey Aries, welcome to your reading. I'm Empress Rose. These are general readings, so we're going to take what works, leave what doesn't, as with everything in life. And if I don't catch your wavelength here or your storyline on this one, go check your other major placements or any other placement that resonates with you, that you're like, you really identify with. People were asking about that, and just go ahead and check it out. I don't think it's going to hurt, as long as you're taking what works and leaving what doesn't. So, it won't be. Anyway, we're going to go start off with the Oracle Mystical Moments, and then we're going to move into ye old Santa Muerte Tarot deck, which is the deck I started the channel with, for a more traditional spread. Ooh. I think you've gotten this one before. That's very funny. Because I was just talking about an Aries I know in regards to this card. So to me, this is the Sea Witch is a very Aries card. Anything else for Aries? It's not what it's not. I don't know if I can do that. These videos, these ones this week. This is why I stopped using the Oracle Mystical Moments. The readings get so long with it. I mean, I love it because it's a generous deck, and all these cards have so much cool stuff in them, but I also hate it because it's like I could probably talk an hour on these 5 cards, but I don't think we want that. All right, so Sea Witch. Practice, and you're getting a little sick of it. When do you get to go to the real thing? When do you get the real propeller? Here you are, you're playing, you're enjoying, you might even have a little companion with you, but you can't go anywhere. Not only are you a jellyfish, and you're just right now you're a jellyfish, and you're dreaming about going somewhere, but you don't have the ability to like physically go anywhere, or with your career, you're just playing with a toy. And I think you're very sick of playing with a toy. You're tired of playing with a toy and you'd like the real thing, but you don't have it yet. You're not there yet. So I was just reminded by my Aries daughter, who just like hated being a small child. She did not want a toy oven. She wanted a real oven. She did not want a toy doctor set. She wanted to be an actual doctor. Like, she just hated it. She hated all the fake, no real opportunities. You didn't actually get to invent a robot. You got to glue a bunch of cardboard together to look like a robot, and she really loathed that. So that's a little bit of where I feel this card is today, is just practice. When do we actually get there? Looks like you might actually be there. Oh my gosh. The door is actually open. You're just not walking through it. You just don't feel like you're just not walking through it. Maybe you're just so used to practicing that you don't even realize it's real now. This is liberty. You get to walk away from something. You get to leave some sort of cage here that you've been in. I feel like this practice cage, this preparation cage, it's time for you to cross some sort of threshold. But this liberty card is a little bit my Shawshank card, right? It's like, it's the guy from Shawshank who was in prison for so long, he didn't know what to do once he got out of prison. It's like you don't even see that the door is open. You're having to be tempted out of it, but you're ready to go, actually. You're sick of it, but you've got this door's opening now. There's this threshold there. It's time for you to go through it. You didn't really see it, but you're pretty comfortable. You've gotten very comfortable with where you're at, with what you're doing, with your routines, with your status. Like, this is reminding me of being a student and then being ready to be the professional. But you're not quite. You're so used to being a student. You're so used to this, right? You're comfortable in your cage here. You're comfortable in your cage. You've gotten comfortable in your stagnancy. You've gotten used to it, because this has a lot of. I mean, these birds could all be flying, going someplace themselves, right? They could all be leaving. Here we have birds not leaving. Birds comfortable, cozy in their little cages, right where they're at. There's a lot of stagnancy in this one. There's this smog situation going on here. And in both of these, we just have birds. Here is referencing that you've gotten comfortable with the role that you're in. Even though you're getting frustrated with it, you could start this new cross some sort of threshold and start some new journey, some new beginning, but you're very comfortable with where you're at. So it's almost easier to just, I don't want to like offend anybody here, but that's sort of my job, is just to read the cards, right? So sorry. But you just rather complain about how you're not going anywhere rather than cross an actual threshold. Because you're comfortable with where you're at. So you don't actually want the new propeller. The real propeller, the real movement, the real thing is available to you. But you've gotten very comfortable in this learner apprentice mode that you're not really willing to, you haven't yet crossed an actual real threshold where you get to actually do the thing you want to do that you've been dreaming of for a very long time. You're actually free to do that, but you're so comfortable with where you're at that I think you just rather complain about it than actually do it. Sorry. That's just the message that's coming through here. Then we have, can you hear me? There's some sort of miscommunication, frustrating communication. You could be trying to, maybe you're trying to leave, but it requires some sort of communication and you don't know how to do that, or it's very frustrating. I mean, communication right now is very frustrating. Like everything's so disrupted that you can't just walk into somebody's office and communicate with them. You can't just, there's just like something, and there's something here that's not working, some sort of communication. It could be that you're waiting for someone to tell you that you're free to go, but you're not getting the message, but you actually are. It could be that you're not receiving message back. You've sent messages out, you're not getting them back. It could be just a sense of being misunderstood. Chronically misunderstood. Maybe I'm misunderstanding you right now with this reading of these three cards together. But there's something frustrating about communication here. It's, can you hear me? And it could just be exhaustion with the communication going on right now, or it could be, yeah, just a communication glitch here, and it's got you down and feeling kind of bad. I mean, she's not taking any movement, but that could be why you're feeling stagnant, is communication issues. And she's not moving anywhere. She's just kind of staring listlessly out at something. We have three images here of birds and this sort of like snail woman staring listlessly out at the world and feeling very powerless to do anything about it. Even though in this one, they do have the power. And this one, they also have the power. So, but in all of them, and we don't know if she's communicated, already, and is just waiting on an affirmation or something like that. We don't know what she's waiting on. So I don't know what you're waiting on. Maybe you're waiting to hear back. Maybe you're not sure you're being heard and you're waiting to hear back, or maybe you're just like haven't even taken the first step yet because you're pretty sure it's hopeless and there's no point. So, yeah, but we have protective nest. So this is still a little bit of this vibe, this something happening in the future here. You're still, maybe you're not going anywhere. Maybe you're not leaving this cage because you got a little nest here, and you're not ready to yet because these things aren't ready yet. These things aren't ready for you to move on yet. You still need to protect something. You're protecting some sort of idea and something in reality. And these things have their own timeline. You're not in charge of the timeline. So you don't really, so I'm like, well, maybe these are all different things, but I'm saying, here's some stagnancy, but maybe you're at home because you've still got a nest egg. These things, it's just not time yet. You could be feeling very frustrated, very stagnant, and like, yeah, I could move forward, but I'm not feeling it yet. And the reason you might not be feeling it yet is because there's timing. There's timing that's outside of your hand, and you need to stay put and protect your situation while the time ripens all by itself. You have ideas, you have things you want to do, things you want to accomplish, but you're waiting for the time to be right for this. Because when we open an egg from the outside, before it's ready, we kill what's inside. So the whole thing about eggs is they have to come out in their own time when they are ready. So it could be ideas or something that's just not had its time yet, but you could be getting frustrated, feeling stagnant, feeling stuck, feeling trapped. You're not actually trapped, but you do need to stay here apparently, possibly, or something for these eggs. You're protecting something. But it's making you feel very stagnant and trapped, even though you aren't actually trapped. You could leave, but you don't want to because there's something here that you're waiting on the timing of. And that's also this one. You're waiting on some sort of external timing. Okay, so I was thinking that you did have your propeller. So some of you might have your propeller and you're refusing to move on because of a sense of hopelessness, a sense of frustration, or just feeling really comfortable with where you're at and not really wanting to take the risks. But some of you actually may not, it just may not be time yet, and you're getting frustrated with the stagnation and frustrated with the situation as it is. You could technically leave, you could technically do it, but you're not quite ready yet. This isn't quite ready yet. You know, maybe this guy is like, okay, I can do this, but I'm not quite ready. And it could be because you're waiting on somebody else's timing, you're waiting on something else, you're waiting for the situation to be right all by itself, which would be a smart move. Maybe you don't even know why you're waiting, or why you're not moving the way you think you should be moving. But I'm saying that you might have some sort of intuition about it and be waiting for timing, something to become clear, something to hatch, something to emerge. You might be waiting for something to emerge so that, I mean, and these birds here, yeah, this is a stagnant situation, but they're waiting for the wind. They're waiting for spirit to move, right? So they're a little too comfortable. This is what I don't like about this, is the smog. It's a little too comfortable, a little too toxic, and they're waiting on movement that's external to them when they have the power to move themselves. So this is all some sort of push-pull between waiting for something to happen that's external to you that you don't have control over, and trying to figure out what you do have control over in this situation, what you are actually free to do, what you do feel moved to do, and what's not quite ready yet. And there could be some difficulty trying to figure out where you're at in that process. All right, Aries, here is your past, your present, your inner landscape, what's at issue, your environment, your to-do list, and your possible outcome. Woo! This is all pretty awesome. This is cool. Okay, in your recent past, you have the Empress. So feeling very empowered, feeling like you have everything you need, all the resources you need, all the love you need, all the relationships you need. Feeling like you just really do have everything you need here. Feeling powerful, empowered, capable, strong, abundant, just feeling really, really strong and really good about your life and where it is. Yeah, there's been heartbreak. Yeah, there's been sort of missed opportunities along the way. But where you're at right now feels really good, or where you have been. You had a sense of feeling really good with where you're at. And then we have your current situation is this Four of Wands. So it is time to make some sort of public commitment, some sort of public move forward, some sort of, this is the engagement card, the 1111 card. It is a celebration, but it's also bringing your wares to market. So this is number 4 in the Wands. So we're well on our way on some sort of creative, inspired process, and we're starting to make a serious commitment to it, and we're starting to bring it out into the public. We're starting to maybe make a little money off of it if this is some sort of idea. But this is like really committing to a process. So you're at some sort of point where it's time to commit to something, time to move forward. There's a public component to this, letting people know, maybe declaring a major, declaring intentions. But there is like a part of this wand situation that's happened, this inspired situation where it's time now to bring it out into the open. It's time now to talk about it. It's time now to bring your ideas. It's time now to talk about your ideas, bring them into the open. I feel like leaving some of this energy, this frustration behind, and just declaring your intentions publicly. And that's sort of what it's time for right now. Your inner landscape, you have this 3 of Pentacles. This is typically teamwork. You've got your sunshine, your water, your soil, and you're growing these ideas. You're growing your money. That's what you want to do. You want to grow. This is a 3 of Pentacles, so you're at the beginning, planning process. You'd like to, you know, find the elements that you need in order to grow, pull those all together. You might be worried that you're not able to, which is funny because in the recent past you felt very abundant, like you had everything you need. So there could be some concern though that in this situation you're not going to have everything you need. I mean, what's interesting to me here is that in this cage you were fed, it was clean for you, you had to have everything you need, and you were very safe in this cage. It's time now to leave this cage, and you may be worried about not having everything you need in this new situation, or not being able to pull together the team that you need in this new situation, or do the work that you need. You might be worried about that, which of course means you're also hopeful that you have that, which means, yeah, you're hopeful that you have that. And then we have, what's the issue is this Four of Pentacles. The upright is focused play, work, being very focused, being very committed to something. This is another card about committed. But in the reverse like this is being overly committed to something, not being able to do other things with your time and your life because you are myopically focused on something that's a lot of work and very difficult. So it's almost like you don't want to leave this cage or you don't want to leave your home because there's a lot of work to be done here, even though it might be time to leave your home. You're just really focused on something to the exclusion of other things. Or it might be that you're not having a very good time. You're not really enjoying how much work something is. It's not capturing your attention. It's drudgery, it's boring, and it's really not capturing your attention. So that's what's at issue, is being workaholism, or having to do chores and stuff that are very uninspiring and are taking time away from other things, and you're a little bit upset about it and angry about it. And then we have, in your environment, we have this Ace of Wands. So there's some sort of inspiration coming in your environment, something exciting. It could be these eggs starting to hatch. It could be this cage opening. It could be this wind coming in. Something's changing the dynamic here, and it's in your environment, and it's inspiring you. It's very exciting. It's a new idea that's coming into your environment. It could be very intuitive. There's something in your environment that's a new beginning, a new possibility. It's just beginning though, because it's just starting, and it can't see the sun, right? It can't see the sun. It can't see the sun. It sees the moon, which is our intuition. The moon indicates that the sun exists, right? Because it's reflecting light from the sun. We can't see the sun, but the moon is reflecting that light back to us, letting us know that there's something real out there, there's something clear out there, and we're going to see it eventually. But right now, all we're getting in our intuition is a reflection of that. And so there's something in your environment that's growing, that's developing, but it's only but you might not be able to see it. You might not, because this is like that egg, right? The egg indicates that there's going to be a new life, that there's coming something that's going to be emerging, but we can't see inside the egg yet. All we see is the egg, and the egg is the signifier that there's going to be something emerging and something coming towards us, and something changing and something real coming into the world. So this is the same with this card and with our intuition here, is with this Ace of Wands. There's something in our environment that is going to be changing, that is going to see the light of day. It just isn't right now. So I feel like there's something going on behind the scenes in your environment where you can't see it. You might be able to see a signifier of it, but you can't see it. You can't imagine it yourself. You're just seeing the signifier of the thing that you're eventually going to have in your hand. You're just seeing a symbol of it right now, or a reflection of it or something. You're not seeing the thing itself. So there's something in your environment that you can't see. It could be, you can't see this threshold. You can't see that you're free to go. You can't see that it's time to take this movement. But you will be seeing it. I mean, that's the promise in these eggs, is that they're going to hatch, they're going to open, and we're going to see what they contain, right? But we're waiting. That time, that's out of our time. So there's something in your environment that's developing, that's growing. I just don't think you can see it yet. Your to-do list here is this Knight of Swords. This is being very clear with your thinking, being very honest with your thinking, being very honest with your words. Look at how much self-control this man needs to have. I mean, he doesn't actually have any internal organs because he is a skeleton. But let's imagine he does have internal organs and he's a sword swallower. So he is having to be very precise and very careful not to harm and hurt himself with his own ideas, his own words, and his own thoughts. So this is my good mental hygiene card. This is being very precise with your thoughts, being very clear with your thoughts, and being very clear with all of your communications. So we're having a communication issue here. This card is your to-do list, and it says, be a very clear communicator. Don't say things you don't mean, but you need to communicate, and maybe even a little bravely. He's being very brave and very careful, right? So brave and careful, thinking and communication. We want to be very precise with this stuff because there's something about your thinking here that's part of this like myopic focus or something like that. So bravely looking at the truth, bravely handling the truth, and bravely communicating the truth and being very clear with ourselves. So one example of how I think that people are not clear with themselves is sometimes they're like, men are assholes. Okay, a lot of men are assholes. I will give you that. But when we say men are assholes, our brain hears all men are assholes. And the women I know or the people I know that say all men are assholes the most tend to only find assholes. So that being clear of like many men are assholes versus all men or versus whatever, I think that's not something I would correct someone else on, but that's something I correct myself with when I hear that poor mental hygiene or that slight dishonesty in my own words, in my own self-talk, in my own thinking, making sure, well, okay, that's not true, okay, or it is true in that everybody is slightly an asshole. And it's not just men, it's everybody is just a little bit of an asshole. Or it could be that, not all men are total jerks, right? So that is an example, you may not, but of wanting to be very clear with your communication and making sure you aren't saying always, never, any of those words that can almost immediately turn whatever we're saying into a little bit of a lie. So that's something you want to be looking for. Very clear, precise, being very brave with yourself, being very brave with looking at your own ideas, looking at your own communication, looking at your own mental hygiene, and communicating that to other people. Where you're going, Page of Wands. This Page of Wands is busy this week. Inspired beginnings, learning about something. Maybe there's a whole process here, right? We've got this Ace of Wands. We've got this thing. This little chickie's going to hatch. What are you going to do with that chickie when it hatches? Are you ready for the chickie when it hatches? Learn about what's coming towards you. So start the learning process, being very honest with yourself, honest, good communication, and then this Page of Wands, start learning. Getting to know something, getting to know a process, getting to know some idea. I mean, you're worried you're not going to be able to pull your team, but I feel like you need some self-education first. Like learn, you're not ready to go here. Here we've got a similar card. We're not ready to go. We're getting inspired, but there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to kind of play with too, because this reverse Four of Pentacles doesn't have a lot of play in it. So it's time to play, time to get going a little bit on learning something new, learning how to handle a new idea, getting inspired, and just maybe taking some preliminary steps this week, in the next couple weeks, taking some preliminary steps to learn a new thing or learn about this thing that inspires you, this thing where you want to go towards, taking some time to learn what that process looks like, what's the groundwork you're going to need, what sort of information do you need before you start filling out forms, what does the process look like, what do most people usually experience, are there any preliminary tests you need to take, something like that. So there's something in your environment that's getting ready to hatch, and you need to get very honest and very clear, see the situation very clearly, which I don't feel we're doing here. We're not seeing the situation very clearly. So maybe before you take this step over the threshold, you need to get to know what's going to be on the other side of the threshold. Google, what's on the other side of this threshold? What's on the outside of my cage? And what's it actually going to be like to actually have a real propeller? So doing some research on that and figuring out how it's going to work for this path for you to go forward. But first, there's some sort of honest communication with yourself that you need to deal with. Some good communication, some honesty, some clarity, seeing a situation for what it actually is, being very brave when you do it. You can do this. You can do this. Okay. All right, Aries. What did we get here? Ooh, I like it with this Ace of Wands and this Page of Wands here. We have starting to get used to the sun. We've got some light in our eyes here. That's just so funny. That's come up a couple times in this reading. We've got and it's real too. We've got some light in our eyes here. Some dawn coming, and we're very excited about it. Brightness of your future. Listen to your discontent, your yearning. You want something true. Oh my gosh, yeah. You want something true. You should not just okay. You should not just be quiet and get back to your day job. Yes, getting back to your day job. Or how things have been, as you are making a drama out of nothing. You are meant to be moved by these feelings to become more alive. Trust in the brightness of what is meant to be. Yeah, with this Ace of Wands here and this Page of Wands, there's some sort of bright future coming at you. I think you're a little worried about it. I think you want to stay in your comfort zone here. Get back to your day job here. But it's time to get honest, get real with yourself about what you actually want, and start like believing in the brightness of your future. So Aries, I love this reading. This is a really fun reading. I think we got someplace really cool. So I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for your likes, subscribes, and comments. I very much appreciate them.